Yeah, but I mean, Tulsi Gabbard turning out to be a fucking bootlicker is not an enormous surprise to me.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
No, but I haven't seen that Tucker Carlson fell in line. I saw that Marjorie Taylor Greene and a few other people were very angry with Trump for dropping bombs in the first place.
Well, Tucker Carlson, so he seems to be doing this thing, which is in some ways kind of understandable. Like his audience is a MAGA audience, and so he's full of all kinds of vitriol for all the people right underneath Trump, which is like everybody except for Trump. And he says,
"Oh, sure, yeah, that's pretty much how he's always been. He's basically takes the like." Comrade Stalin surely doesn't know about the starvation, otherwise he would stop it from happening, that kind of a thing. And that's most of them are like that. They don't go after Trump directly. And that's a smart move on their part because, Trump would take that very fucking personally and then attack them and cause them to lose their audience.
I mean, Trump has even called him a kooky Tucker Carlson should get a network on cable. That's what he's like. But it also, like Carlson said, he's like tried to find ways to praising the attack and saying, thankfully it didn't lead to war, and thank God and thank Trump, and we're glad that everything, all the stuff he said, he didn't recant any of it, but it's like he can't bring himself to properly criticize. But also, like, I don't know what we should expect.
Ultimately, he's a media grifter, so he's got to keep his his base intact. And I mean, there are other people who have pretty strong right-wing voices like Daniel Davis and Judge Napolitano and stuff like that, who have been like just totally scathing about Trump, but they're going to stay YouTube presences with like a couple 100,000 followers and that's it forever,
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson's got a much wider reach than that. And I'm sure he wants to keep it. But yeah,
Tucker Carlson has he talks to Trump on the phone.
Yeah, for sure. And if he wants to maintain that access, he can't be scathing like somebody with, who doesn't rely on Trump's base in order to receive subscriptions.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm down in my notes. Let's keep going. The Iranians actually even broadcasted that they were removing the enriched uranium. So now it turns out that the enriched uranium, which was probably the most heavily monitored nuclear substance in the history of the world, is now completely off the United States, NATO, the IAEA, Russia, China's radar altogether. Iran has hidden it, and we have no idea what Iran's nuclear program is. And their parliament voted to completely disassociate themselves from the IAEA. But anyway, let me move forward in the timeline before we talk about that. So after the United States struck Iran's sites, the Iranians broadcasted that they were going to hit a U.S. base in Qatar, informing all the Gulf states that they were going to do so, which, by the way, is a fucking nightmare for the Gulf states. They're super upset with the United States for doing this. And they've come to Iran's defense verbally anyway, which if you would have told me that the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia were coming to Iran's defense against the United States like 6 months ago, I would not have believed you. But they struck a U.S. base in Qatar after telling everybody they were going to do it. So the United States was able to remove its personnel and move its planes, and there were no casualties. Damage is unknown. We have no idea what Iran hit, and the United States isn't going to tell anybody. But Trump made like a tweet saying like, thank you to Iran for their measured response and God bless the people of God bless Iran or whatever. It's very weird kind of tweet. And then after that, he took up Israel's calls to demand a unilateral ceasefire. So once that happened, Iran fired off one round of missiles at Israel, and Israel fired off a bunch at Iran, and that really pissed Trump off. Of course, he was mad at Iran, but Israel is the one that declared the ceasefire, and Iran never really formally accepted it. But he was especially mad at Netanyahu, and it turns out the entire world is mad at Netanyahu right now. And even the Gulf states are saying that, like, this is in state-sponsored media in places like Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia is talking about how it's not actually Iran that is a threat to stability in the Middle East, it's Israel. And that they've had it wrong this whole time. Which
it's weird because those series of little fiefdoms are run by people who maybe do have some sense of self-preservation, some notion that, like, okay, obviously everyone is furious. Like, it's amazing that the same is not true in Jordan, but it's very obviously true in Egypt, where at the very least the Egyptians have to like mass troops and posture as though they might do something.
So it's interesting why Trump didn't continue this conflict, right? Because once I heard that there was strikes, I was expecting to read next that we were now at war with Iran and we were doing daily airstrikes, and then I didn't see any more news about airstrikes, and then I started seeing news about a ceasefire, and then I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, it's been 3 days. It's been 2 days since we struck Iran, and nothing has happened. Like, almost nothing happened after that.
It was really wild for me. Like, unlike you, I was not disconnected from the news. So for about 24 hours, 2025 felt like 2002. The war drums beating and the media falling in line and the Democratic opposition saying this war is a good idea, but we would do it better. It all felt so eerily similar. And yet then I went to bed thinking, like, who the fuck knows what I'm waking up to? And, I have friends like talking about if they get called up, all kinds of speculation about the worst possible, including some people speculating about even like nuclear war, which I'm not saying I share their opinion, but I sympathize with the tendency to jump to weird conclusions, especially because you never know what's happening with this administration. And then in the morning, that the fact that that's you don't know what's happening with this administration became so much more clear, because it's like, this never happened. Like, within one news cycle, the possibility of war was kind of just removed.
Well, for now, Israel never keeps ceasefires, so we'll see what happens with that. So, like, I was wondering what the fuck happened. Like, why would Trump just do these limited strikes and then back off, and why would Iran be okay with it? And the only way that Iran could possibly be okay with that is if they thought that by agreeing to a ceasefire, if Iran was as badly damaged as Israel and the United States claimed, I don't think that they would stop right away. I think that the logic of the Iranian regime would be like, okay, fine, this is a Gotterdammerung, and we're taking you down with us kind of a situation. But they wanted to maintain stability and maintain what they have of their military and their nuclear program and rebuild it. So it is likely that things in Iran are on stable footing and they're going to be able to recover from it pretty quickly. On top of that, the absolute uproar and furor over Trump starting another forever war is reportedly shaken Trump and his administration, according to insiders in the Trump administration. And just the frantic sort of like rebuttals that Trump was making on his Truth Social account against people who were calling him a warmonger, from like his own side calling him a warmonger, saying he's snowed over by Netanyahu, stuff like that. People that he likes and respects, like criticizing him, which he can't handle that at all. And then on top of all that, Putin calls him up, furious. China lodges protests. The Iranians say that they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz, which would devastate the world's oil supply, would cause just a deep recession, if not depression, like immediately, which would spike gas prices in the United States, which it kind of did. All this instability did raise gas prices in the United States. And that had to have scared Trump, the I'm going to bring down inflation president. And Israel on the ropes, they know if Israel was going to survive, they would need the United States to do all of the rest of the heavy lifting, because they shot their shot and it was insufficient. And the Israeli people are freaking out. Everyone's mad at Netanyahu for getting into a war and then not protecting them, and they were already mad at him anyway. And
yeah, I've seen some people saying like, "Oh my God, they're turning us into Gaza," which is a little bit Schadenfreude for them.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Yeah, Google. For those of you who might not be familiar with Jason's more correct pronunciation of the commonly mispronounced word Schadenfreude, you should Google how to say Schadenfreude, and you'll get the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
So after that, Israel had apparently approached Iran for a ceasefire before the United States dropped any bombs, and Iran said like "fuck you" and shot a bunch of missiles at them. And then finally, after the United States has dropped its bombs, Trump took up Israel's call for a ceasefire and declared a unilateral ceasefire. And Iran reportedly fired some missiles, killed 4 people, and then Israel retaliated again. And then that's when you saw that video of Trump saying like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing on TV. And he was apparently super mad at Netanyahu, which might be the harshest criticism any president has ever made of Israel in public.
Yeah, like ever.
So yeah, apparently the Iran suspects that the IAEA had given information to Israel about where their nuclear scientists were and what their identities were, and the locations of some of their test facilities. So the Iranian parliament has suspended cooperation with the IAEA and has withdrawn formally from the nuclear non-proliferation agreement. So they say they're still abiding by it, but they do not feel constrained by it. Because the United States and Israel broke the nuclear non-proliferation treaty by bombing Iran.
It's like, why would you continue to observe it if it, not just if it's not observed by your, let's say your opponent, like the Obama era treaty that Trump tore up and that Biden did not reinstate. Iran's been observing their side of it the whole time. So that's understandable. But why would you continue to cooperate in this agency, this agreement, which is being used to target and kill your scientists?
Well, I mean, and it's a violation of the treaty because the treaty says that Iran should be allowed to pursue peaceful nuclear energy, just like anyone else in the world. So their facilities are safeguarded under the treaty. So by attacking their facilities and their scientists, Israel and the United States broke the treaty. So the U.S.-Israeli strikes have completely upended non-proliferation norms. And that's actually a warning that the IAEA has underscored. They've said, like, this totally wrecks norms. And Iran is likely going to just pursue a nuclear weapon in secret now. And will allow no oversight.
Yeah. And Pakistan has already said that they would supply nuclear warheads to Iran.
Really? I heard that someone, like Medvedev, posted that someone offered to give them warheads, and then everyone's speculating on who that might be. But some people have said that it's just Medvedev. Like, don't listen to him. He's a clown. But I don't know. Medvedev always sort of postures as a clown in advance of the rest of like Russia and BRICS or whatever actually taking his positions a few months later or whatever. So yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't have any more information than that. But
yeah.
I do not regard Medvedev as a clown.
No, I don't. I mean, I regard Medvedev as a hothead, but he sort of seems to be like represents the hardliner wing of the Russian government. And he said that somebody that, Russia is allies with is offering to give Iran nukes. And then the world is speculating that it's probably North Korea who, would benefit, who benefits from trade and military technology with Iran. And Russia does not want Iran to have nukes, and neither does China. So it would have to be someone like Pakistan or North Korea, if it is true that someone wants to give them nukes. But let's see. What do I have here? I have again that likely the Iranian facilities were empty. If there was any material in them, it was lightly stocked. There was no personnel in them. Nothing was there. Russia knew that it was happening, and they withdrew their nuclear scientists that were helping with the nuclear energy program. Russia also defended Iran publicly. Lavrov called Tehran's said that Iran suspended their ties to the IAEA under Russia's advice, and that they backed them up in their decision to do so. And Russia has apparently vowed to support Iran with, quote, whatever they need. And when asked to specify if that meant weaponry and air defense, Lavrov reported, well, it depends on what they need and what they ask for. So Russia is willing to completely supply them with that right there is a threat to the West. Like, keep bombing Iran, we're going to give them our missile and air defense systems. And I had incorrectly said a few months ago that Russia had been supplying Iran with air defenses, but I've since learned that they offered to, and Iran declined. So Iran has actually declined help from China in Russia thus far, and all of their air defense systems were domestic and not Russian at all. So, my bad. Sorry, I just assumed that they took Russia's state-of-the-art best air defense system in the world and used it. But that comes with strings attached, and I think that Iran doesn't want to be beholden to Russia, but I think that they might change their mind now.
Yeah, I've seen there's some various commentators and shows and whatever, like this one Australian one that always talks about how the Russia's losing their economies. Basically the same kind of the same stuff as most Western European press does.
Right.
And they also have said Russia and China have abandoned Iran. It's all over. It's like, nope, it's very clearly not all over. It's very clear that rather than abandon Iran, they have rushed to their utmost defense.
Right. So speaking of, in Qingdao, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization met, and defense ministers from Iran, Belarus, Pakistan, Russia, and India, and China met with the Iranian defense minister to discuss Iran's future defenses. So the topics included military aid and as well as a number of other things. This wasn't specifically for discussing how to defend Iran against the West, but that ended up being a major topic of conversation, with China and Russia agreeing to help Iran develop their defense capabilities in the future. It's just pending Iranian acquiescence, which has to be agreed upon by parliament and the president and the Ayatollah. So everybody's willing to help Iran if they want it.
My guess is that they probably want it.
I mean, at this point, it would be insane for them to turn down military aid.
It has been pointed out that and I would agree with this assessment, kind of, that the Iranian leadership has made a number of bizarre calculations over the past several years. The part I wouldn't agree with is that it shows that they are timid and weak and whatever. But some of them I really don't understand.
I think some of them have to be religiously motivated. Like Iran.
Yeah, I do. I think that they're trying to not be capable of, ending millions of lives, for example.
Right. Right, and not wanting to be beholden to other powers. Iran is like wants to be sovereign and guided by its religious leader as the highest authority in the land, and not be beholden to countries that they don't necessarily agree with. But yeah, so I mean, a fragile truce holds, and Iran is likely still close to their exact same nuclear capabilities that they had before the weekend. Maybe a few months. I mean, the best estimates that aren't from like Pete Hegseth, who's like completely full of shit and is a total asshole, who should not be listened to at all. But the best estimates are that Iran might have been set back by a couple of months. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens. I don't know. I hope that Iran develops their defense capabilities and doesn't necessarily need to get a nuke, though I think that getting a nuke might be their only way to keep from this kind of stuff happening in the future. Oh, one of the things I wanted to stress was that like this sort of this strike by Israel has done wonders for the regime's stability.
Oh yeah.
Like the sort of anti Islamist sentiment and pro-Western sentiment that has been simmering in Iran for like the past, about 2 decades, as Iran has sort of had to deal with the results of their neoliberalizing economy. There's been a lot of push to liberalize and be more like the West. Hey, if we're going to have a liberal economy, why don't we have liberal freedoms, etc. And of course, that is seized upon and exacerbated by CIA funding and stuff like that, like CIA and other Western intelligence organizations funding.
It's kind of hard though now to imagine like a green movement in this context.
Right. I mean, and that's sort of like what a bunch of reports that I've seen are saying, that like this sort of pro-Western sentiment has evaporated, and some of the most critical voices of the Iranian regime in Iran are, wholeheartedly for war against Israel. Because I mean, there's nothing guaranteed to bring everyone together like being attacked by Israel. Everyone hates Israel.